Good afternoon and welcome to the Sustainable Mobility Cluster Builder event for today. So today is the third in a series of webinars that the Sustainable Mobility Cluster Builder is hosting on behalf of Scottish Enterprise, Transport Scotland and the Highlands and Islands Enterprise here in Scotland. My name's Dan Langford. I'm the mobility consultant for Urban Foresight, who has been contracted to run the Sustainable Mobility Cluster Builder. Today we're here to talk about the opportunities in connected and autonomous vehicles, both in Scotland, the UK and around the world, and some of the latest activity that's been happening in the area. I'm so glad you're here on this, probably what is a very warm afternoon wherever you are. Hopefully you'll leave today a little bit inspired, make some new connections, and learn something along the way. So without further ado, we'll get started. So just a quick touch on the Sustainable Mobility Cluster Builder. This is what we do, helping companies take advantage of opportunities within the different mobility sectors. A few of the goals, I mean, the setup of this cluster was focused on a balance of two things, obviously helping small businesses achieve success in these different sectors, but also to help Scotland actually achieve its climate goals, which are some of the most significant in the world. As you can see there, some aggressive goals by reducing car kilometers by 2030 by 20%. New buses are all zero emissions from 2024, which is just around the corner. And one of the most impactful, phase out the need for new petrol vehicles by 2030. I think we can all agree these are fairly aggressive goals and going to take a lot of concerted effort and collaboration to make that happen. This is, as I mentioned, why the cluster was set up, and this is what we aim to do. We're really about building a community around all of the advances in mobility going forward, fostering better linkages, taking advantage of funding opportunities, and support those goals that I just mentioned. This is, as I mentioned, third event in connected and autonomous vehicles. We've had a couple of others around electrification, etc. The next one, look out for it in the coming months. It's more around the heavy duty vehicles and the powertrain. And of course, we can't forget the mobility services around micro-mobility primarily, and the different platforms that you see being rolled out. Next year as well, we'll have a continuing series of events, which is partially the focus of our efforts. So it really is focused on Scotland, these activities, but of course, mobility is a global initiative. There's a lot of activity around the planet that we can learn from, take advantage of, and bring here to make some differences. So being a collaborative event, please do, as Catherine's already suggested, put your details in the chat box and hopefully make some more connections while we're here at this event today. So just getting into the details of what we've got planned for you. We've got quite a dynamic range of speakers today. So quite exciting. There's probably a little bit for everyone in there. And I'm sure we're all going to learn something along the way. So we'll start off with a welcome, which is, I guess, where we're at right now. We'll have a handful of guest speakers, as well as a panel discussion from some companies working in this vertical space. And towards the end of the event, we'll start talking about some of the opportunities that are available, whether they be collaboration or funding opportunities, as well as some of the services that Urban Foresight can provide to SMEs working in the sustainable mobility area. Hopefully we'll all be wrapped up by about 4:30, so you can then go and enjoy the rest of your afternoon in the sunshine. A little bit of housekeeping. All attendees are muted to start with. Introduce yourself in the chat window. Post questions. Most of our presenters will be hanging around both before and after their sessions. And if they're not available, we will forward on the questions to them. So, your questions will get answered one way or another. And it is being recorded, so we'll be using this event and it'll be made available later on YouTube. All right, just a very quick high-level explanation of what we're going to talk about. I'm sure many in the audience have some idea of these two specific areas, but Connected vehicles, very briefly, the things everyone is likely familiar with is things like telematics technologies, and even the navigation you use on your mobile phones these days are very loose examples of connected vehicles. The truth is that most new vehicles pretty much all new vehicles for the last few years are connected in some way. They will have some kind of cellular connection to a network. A lot of vehicles going back probably 10 or 15 years have had that embedded as well. The OEMs have included that for quite a while, probably not quite to the level of sophistication you'd have today as expected. But what we'll be talking about today is looking forward to what does that look like as we move forward. It gets a lot more complicated and a lot more technologically advanced, not surprisingly. You'll see acronyms like all these V2 something, vehicle to infrastructure, vehicle to pedestrians, vehicle to vehicle communications. And we'll be covering some of that today. And of course, the big question that leads to the next section, automated and autonomous vehicles, is if we're in automated cars, what are we going to do all day when we're inside? Infotainment, the delivery of media to vehicles is obviously a big factor there as well. So automated vehicles, very, very simply, is the automation of the driving function within a vehicle. Automation is not new. It's been around for a long time. We've had autopilot in planes for quite a while. Autonomous trains, particularly the ones at the airports, the monorails you see largely have been, sans driver for a very long time. Automobiles, e-taxis, something really, really new and something that we're going to see rolling out over the next few years. And you have other sort of utilitarian applications of autonomous vehicles as well. Mining trucks in Australia have been automated for quite a while as well. And of course, boats. I recently saw news about autonomous freight boats running around the canals in Amsterdam. So lots of progress in many different areas in autonomy. So I guess a question that came to my mind as well when we were planning for this event was, how does autonomy relate to sustainability? After all, we are the Sustainable Mobility Cluster Builder. So did a quick look around to see if there was research on this, and it turns out there is quite a lot. I guess the promise is that robots can drive better than humans, or at least a lot more smoothly. So you'll see a lot of these, CO2 reductions, fuel consumption, wear and tear on the vehicle is really generated by smoother driving. The ones I found interesting were that a speed increase due to the smoother driving promises a reduction in emissions, and that's also compounded by the fact that because these robotic vehicles are smoother drivers, that they can drive a lot closer together, promising a lot of roadway optimization. So there is potential there for having hopefully less red lights when driving around cities, but we'll see. Of course, there's a dystopian view as well, where all of a sudden it becomes so convenient to ride around in vehicles that we're doing it all the time, and we end up with too many vehicles on the road. I guess this is something that we'll see play out as automation becomes a reality. But first up today, let's start with our first guest presentation. Stephen Craig, the Connected and Autonomous Vehicle Project Manager from Transport Scotland. First up is going to give us an update on where Scotland is with the Connected and Autonomous Roadmap, and potentially talk about a couple of projects that Transport Scotland are involved in. Welcome, Stephen.
Good afternoon, thanks. So
over to you.
Okay, I think you need to stop sharing so that I can share. Yep, so that should come through now.
Oh, good.
Can you all see that? Yep. Yep. So just getting started, I'm Stephen Craig. I'm Transport Scotland's CAV4 project manager. So I'll give an update today on where we are with all things connected and autonomous vehicles in July 2021. So a little bit with myself first. So I've been with Transport Scotland since around 2018, brought in specifically to look at CAV opportunities. And that was really off of the back of my involvement in the 2018, prior to 2018 in the future ITS strategy for motorways and trunk roads. And prior to that, I was involved in the managed motorway interventions on the Queensferry Crossing corridor. So today I'm going to cover a little bit of introduction to Transport Scotland's history in connected and autonomous vehicles, provide a bit of policy context and an overview of our three main CAV work areas. So first of all, responsibility for the overall policy and regulation of CAV, as you know, is reserved to the UK government. So what then does that mean for Transport Scotland's role? It means that we aim to be at the forefront of engagement in development and testing of CAV solutions. And to quote the Cabinet Secretary for Transport in our CAV roadmap, which we'll cover in more detail later, but the development and deployment of CAVs has the potential to bring transformative change to people's lives, not just in how we travel, but in how we work, where we live, the environment and safety. And CAV technologies also offer exciting potential for Scottish industries to be at the forefront of innovation and economic growth. The Scottish Government has made some specific commitments on CAV in both their 2018 and 2019 programmes for government. These were aimed at establishing Scotland as being at the forefront of development, trialling and demonstration of CAV technologies. Transport Scotland's CAV activities support the Scottish Government's national outcomes for the economy through initiatives that are environmentally sustainable, inclusive, and have the potential to benefit all of Scotland's people and communities. And work on CAV also supports the Scottish Government's desire to take the progressive actions needed to make Scotland the best place in the world to grow up, learn, work and live in. Our activities on CAV are aligned with the second National Transport Strategy, which aims to set out a compelling vision for the transport system over the next 20 years. Over time, the development and deployment of CAV technologies are expected to make an increasing contribution to the safe, efficient and resilient operation of the road network and contribute to the vision and objectives of our road safety framework. Now, we've been undertaking CAV activities since the publication of our Trunk Road and Motorway Network Future ITS strategy, which came around in 2017. Now, this identified 6 themes overall. And one of those was intelligent mobility, including CAV. That was a specific theme that we wanted to look at over the next 10 years of the strategy. Clearly, that's 4 years old now, and we'll just kind of look to bridge the gap between that point now and then. So the operations team at Transport Scotland and the Roads Directorate are engaged on a number of CAV projects and activity and have been since 2018. And I'm going to cover kind of 3 main areas today: CAV Scotland, the CAV roadmap for Scotland, and finally Project CAV Forth. There are a number of other initiatives that are ongoing at the moment. That's project dissemination and involvement in the Law Commission review and the consultation on automatic lane keeping system. I won't really say too much about those, but we're represented on the steering group for the Law Commission review, and that takes account our interests in CAV, road safety, and we have a regular catch up with the Scottish Law Commission to just exchange information on our current CAV work streams and just keep in touch on it on a kind of quarterly basis. And we continue to liaise with the DFT and CCAV on ALKS at all stages, just as they look to bring that into operation on motorways in Scotland and the implications on that on our legislation, the devolved legislation at that stage. So moving on, the 2018 programme for government stated that we would encourage and support the research, demonstration and deployment of CAV, and it actually committed Transport Scotland to host a summit in 2018 and explore with others how we could best capitalise on the opportunities and benefits. That commitment led to the original CAV Scotland event, which was held at the Royal Highland Centre in Ingliston on the 31st of October and the 1st of November. It was at that event that we announced the development of the CAV roadmap, and it brought together a wide range of speakers from Scotland, the UK and overseas for a very successful 2-day conference and event and demonstrator event. In 2019, we were fortunate to be able to move that event to the Scottish Events Campus in Glasgow, and this larger outside space allowed us to bring more external demonstrator vehicles, and that included the prototype of the bus for Project CAV Forth, and there was a related media event alongside that. So again, that was a 2-day event, a wide range of home and international speakers. And now, as we sit, we look forward to having further opportunities to explore the next CAV Scotland event. Specifically then on our CAV roadmap, the 2019 programme for government stated that we wanted Scotland to be at the forefront of developments in CAV, and that we're well positioned to offer high quality test and demonstrator opportunities to developers and industry, and that we would publish a roadmap for adoption of these technologies later that year. And we did do. We published the CAV roadmap for Scotland in December 2019, between Christmas and New Year to be precise. And this CAV roadmap explores the opportunities associated with CAV in Scotland and the challenges in their deployment. It tries to set out the relationship between CAV technologies and the Scottish Government's transport and economic ambitions, and explores where CAV technologies could be utilised, how we could benefit from them, and what interventions and initiatives we might have to take to unlock these opportunities. The roadmap itself is formed around 13 initiatives, looking to identify and support trials where possible to provide a living test bed to ensure that all parts of Scotland are well connected. There are 13 initiatives on the screen that I wouldn't necessarily propose to cover all of them, but just to pull a few out that sort of may be of interest. We look to build on CAV Scotland, I'd already said. Understand for us what we need to do to change, what future ready ITS infrastructure looks like, what we have to do at the roadside, and what we have to do with our control room in the future. And a central feature of the roadmap is that we're looking to highlight opportunities that we can use our diverse trunk road network to trial and demonstrate CAV technology. So that's remote rural areas where technology communications may be limited, or where the terrain and road characteristics present unique challenges that are different to cities or urban test facilities. And this use of the Scottish trunk road as a live test environment, reflecting the need to develop CAV solutions that work for all our citizens. And we want that to be our distinctive approach to CAV in Scotland. So we published our roadmap in December 2019. And I guess by early 2020, we were in the same position as everybody else, and we were reprioritising our workload to face the COVID-19 pandemic. And so from a CAV roadmap perspective, that meant that the main focus was on the delivery of our Initiative 13, which is Project CAV Forth. And we look forward to sort of re-engaging with our CAV roadmap and taking it forward. We've recently appointed an ITS strategy and CAV manager within the team. So that's Richard Miller, who I think is on the webinar this afternoon. So essentially, whilst I focus predominantly on CAV Forth, Richard and the rest of the team will come in, and we'll look to move forward with CAV Scotland, deliver on the roadmap, and deliver through on our commitments to Project CAV Forth, which I'll just kind of finish off by summarising. Project CAV Forth, for those of you who don't know, aims to provide a globally significant demonstration of autonomous bus capability on a 14-mile route from Fife to Edinburgh. It's a partners group that we are part of, the other partners being Fusion Processing, who are the lead partner and the provider of the autonomous vehicle kit, Alexander Dennis, the UK's largest bus manufacturer, Stagecoach, who, as well as operating the service, are responsible for the pre-trial societal research and consumer engagement, along with Edinburgh Napier University, and finally the Bristol Robotics Laboratory. So the project itself is funded by the Centre for Connected Autonomous Vehicles. So it's a UK government funded project. And just to cover, for those of you who don't know, sort of where it is essentially, so we'll zoom in on it a little, and it's a route that starts at Ferrytoll Park and Ride, just north of the Forth Road Bridge and Queensferry Crossing. It uses the Forth Road Bridge public transport corridor, travels south over the Forth, and uses the local road between Eckland Roundabout and Queensferry Junction to then join the M90. So it then uses a combination of the main line of the motorway and sections of actively managed hard shoulder that we have in place for buses since the Queensferry Crossing project. So that gets it down through onto the M9 through Newbridge Junction. And we're currently putting in place an additional section of actively managed hard shoulder from Claylands, the M9 merge through to the M8 at Hermiston Gate, and the service then terminates at the Edinburgh Park public transport interchange and does the route in reverse. So the route itself has a number of challenges. There are 4 traffic signal controlled roundabouts. There are controlled crossings. There are sections of single carriageway local roads with bus stops and giveaways and various other commercial activity. 5 grade separated junctions, as well as the sections of actively managed hard shoulder, and there are a number of motorway lane changes as the bus makes its way along the route. So our role, we are the roads authority for the majority of the route. Some is privately owned, some is Fife Council and City of Edinburgh Council, but the majority of it is ours. And we remain on track to deliver our commitments. So that is some selected relining of the route, enhanced CCTV coverage, and providing some communications links to the autonomous bus systems. So that vehicle to infrastructure communication consists of both the motorway signal and traffic signal status communication to the autonomous bus system. As we sit just now, we continue to work with our partners to explore timescales for the delivery of the project, and we'll be able to say more about that in the coming months. Essentially, though, our ambition for participating in this project was to learn as a roads authority, what is it that we have to do to support CAV projects and then disseminate that learning? And we're well on our way to do that. We've undertaken a number of virtual events of this type, and as opportunities become more available and achievable, we'll hope to do more of that. And I guess just to finish off and summarise, having covered CAV Scotland, the CAV roadmap and Project CAV Forth and our various other activities, we'll finish with a message from our CAV roadmap, and that was to say that Scotland already possesses many of the new and unique skills required to develop, exploit and deploy CAV, and we're open for business. We warmly welcome collaboration, investment and involvement from across industry, academia and public sector partners to help us realise our vision for economic growth and securing a prominent position in the future of the CAV market. So that's all from me. I don't know if there are any questions or if anybody would like to.
Yeah, Stephen, there is one that's popped up in there, but I had a few questions as well. I mean, the intention for this particular project is you will have passengers on those buses. That's right?
Yeah, it's a commercial bus operation. So Stagecoach will have fee-paying passengers on a commercial bus service. Yeah.
And with your crystal ball intact, when do you expect that to go live?
Well, we don't have a program that we can share with the public at the moment. It's still in discussion with our partners. We are expecting to have vehicles on the route this year, but they won't necessarily be fee-paying passengers. There'll be a development process, and then eventually the fee-paying passenger will be part of the competition rules. There'll be a 6-month funded trial, so it has to run for 6 months at that stage. So.
Got it. No, that helps.
I think there was space on that one.
Yeah. No, it sounds exciting. I mean, I know from my previous experience that a vehicle of that size on such a, I guess from an autonomy perspective, it's quite a complicated route. So, it's a really exciting project. I know there are a lot of transit agencies around the world dying to get their hands on an autonomous bus, which is quite different to your average potential e-taxi, I guess. I think there was another question about exactly which bridge is it? It's the Forth Road Bridge public transport corridor. So when we redesignated the Forth Road Bridge upon opening of the Queensferry crossing, the Forth Road Bridge is for use by buses, certain taxis. So the intention is that the bus, when it leaves Ferrytoll Park and Ride, there is a bus lane which takes you on to the Forth Road Bridge, travels over the Forth Road Bridge and leaves at Ecklam roundabout to then make its way back to the M90, which would be the route that would have taken it over the Queensferry crossing at that stage. So yeah, it's a Forth Road Bridge service. Got it.